الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد الصادق الأمين. Good morning, my students. Welcome to our 20th lecture in this course, which is, American Literature course. Today, our second lecture is on Witman. Last time we looked at two of his poems, Goodbye to My Fancy and The Astronomer. We saw how Witman was purely transcendentalist. We saw how Witman reconciled between two contradictory things like the body and the soul. And we talked about the possible symbols he was having in mind. Today we're going to discuss a very important poem, a central poem in his volume The Leaves of Grass, which is the Song of Myself. Last time I think we talked a little bit about the Song of Myself in terms of being like a song in the middle of the volume, in which the hero is going to start the heroic quest for identity, the heroic quest for the voice, for freedom, and so on. But before going through Whitman's Song of Myself, I would like to listen to the one weekly report, and then I think I assigned you to say why should you celebrate yourself, or what should you celebrate yourself for. So let's see first like a reflection or a report. Yes. Yes.
Why should I celebrate myself? I should celebrate myself in the first place, for I am a very honest person, for I am not a hypocrite in a world where most people are. I do what I believe in, and I do what I believe is right. I never do things to please anyone on earth but myself. I should celebrate myself because I am a hard worker. I work very hard to get what I want, no matter how much effort would it take. And I should celebrate myself because I'm a very fast learner and a very fast skill grabber. Not a day passes without learning a new thing in the field of my work, designing and developing websites. Every day I learn how to do a certain thing and a skill. My manager at the company I work in always praises my enthusiasm to learn things. Finally, I should celebrate myself because I'm courageous, that I do what I believe in, and I say what I believe is right without being afraid of the consequences. That's all.
I couldn't agree with her more. In fact, she is what she celebrated herself for. Yes, she's courageous, she's hardworking, she's very auspicious. Yes, she has a lot of skills. So congratulations on all these things. It's very important to focus on the positive thing. But again, it is very important to circumscribe, the negative aspect, you see, because we are a human being. So it's very important to know, to have self-awareness. I don't know, everybody has something to celebrate himself or herself. And I don't know what Whitman is going to say about himself when he's going to celebrate himself. But let's see another type or another color of a report. Last week we did Edgar and Poe. And I'm not sure, yes, Isra, do you have a report?
Good morning, everyone. I tried to reflect on Edgar Allan Poe as an American citizen. I think how the American perceived his works as the first time. So I am trying to read it as if I were an American citizen. How would I perceive Poe's piece, The Fall of the House of Usher? The 19th century generation was typically fragile since it was born in the new land and was torn between the past and its doubts and the present with its challenges. Thus, such new genres would make them think about their own literature. If I were one of them, I would not appreciate this work since it is dark and gloomy, full of goticism and mystery. Definitely, they were in need for glimpses of hope to tell them that the good is still to come. Poe is reflecting a kind of a troubled mentalities in his story, so it really echoes this generation. But they would not read it because they are eager to be changed. The whole case is like telling a horrifying story to a child to make him fear a specific place, then he will never go there. Exactly the same case with Americans. The story of Poe is telling them that the place around you is haunting. However, they don't want to leave it. I bet that it wasn't appreciated in the 19th century. But coming to the 20th century generation, the case is different. People tend to be more intellectual and love literature for the sake of literature. Therefore, light was shed on Poe's works. Again, it's not his age that makes it's not your age that make you a superstar, but rather the coming generations after your death, and you rarely live your celebrity.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Isra. Yes, indeed, she's like giving Poe the right credit. Yes, 20th and 21st century readers started to appreciate, and we started to realize that Edgar Allan Poe, yes, he's the father of detective story. Yes, he was writing sensational literature. It was the taste of the time. Some people, though, didn't like what he wrote, but it was not until the 20th century that readers started to appreciate Edgar Allan Poe because he was concentrating on the aesthetics of the work of art. He was a precursor of modernists, even postmodernists. Okay, so this is about Edgar Allan Poe last week. This week we're looking at Whitman. Look at him. Very casual, isn't he? Yes. Okay. So, I think all of you must have perhaps read it aloud, or just like read it. Huh? Yeah, went through it, or like it's very important to read it aloud. To read poetry aloud in general, not Whitman. So, how did you find the poem?
Very long.
Very long? I don't know. Yeah, very long. It's a lengthy poem.
Comparing it with my friends.
So, how would you connect this to the theme of the poem? If you, okay, very long. Thank you very much. You see what I mean? Yes?
However, it is very long because he addresses something inside you.
Yeah.
And it's like the paradoxes, the too many paradoxes inside the poem makes you more interactive with it because he is celebrating himself and celebrating all human beings at the same time.
So you mean because of the substratum of the themes he's raising?
Yes, it touches
You know.
certain point in every human.
Okay. So every time he's talking about something new. Good.
Maybe we can relate the length of the poem to the theme that the poet or the Americans were allowed to speak up and to speak their thoughts. This reflects the freedom of expression. That the poem is very long, that he says so many things.
Yeah, so whatever he wants to say is endless, is infinite. It has to do with, infiniteness.
Can
Yes.
you read the poem about how Witman himself is trying to get rid of the restriction and limitation, and he is even told the reader not to take from the books themselves. He must be free and read and discover by himself.
Okay, so it means he has a lot of things to do.
Yes.
He is, as we see in the poem, the idea of microcosm and the macrocosm. He sees himself that he is like the one who encompasses all the American. Yes, he is the self, but he has this representational or representative, character. So he should be vast. His poetry should be long. I know it is like, casual to say this, but it's very important sometimes to question ourselves why we are choosing this word. Are we choosing it randomly, or does it mean something? Yes, please.
I will ask the same thing about, we can link the
Yeah, the self is not an easy thing. Like the self is like an ocean, is as vast as an ocean, and if you dive within the self, you're going to explore a lot of treasures. And to explore these treasures, you might need a larger space. Okay, good. So it's not a complaint; it's a compliment, huh? Okay, good.
I want to say that I love that he's bringing something new. Like we read a lot of poems, most of them are religious, but this one is really like more
Personal, more lyrical.
Social.
Yeah, more lyrical, more. Huh?
Because he believes that Puritans and religion cannot do anything.
Uh-huh.
That's why. It is not religious or something. He believes that he can achieve what he wants by himself.
Okay.
Because Puritans tried the business camp, but they didn't achieve that democracy.
Okay, yes. Like he has this self-confidence. He has this feeling of self-reliance. He can rely on himself. Yes?
Yes, this self-reliance or the celebration of self comes from nature. So it goes back to Emerson and
close to nature.
Yeah, so it's nature which allows him to celebrate. But again, is it like nature, or does he have something, unique?
yes, there is
Because, yes, there is a celebration of nature, but at the same time, he says, the song of myself. I celebrate myself. Yes, there is celebration. Now, the central question is, what, things is he celebrating himself? Like, we have to, okay, why is he celebrating? What are the things which now Allah celebrated herself for being courageous, for being very enthusiastic, for being, a hardworking student, for being like, having different skills. Like, what did Whitman celebrate himself, for? This is like, if we can make a list.
Yes.
Yes.
I think he celebrated himself for writing such a book.
Okay.
It seems like it is not that big boom or something in the service, but it has many things to do with America itself.
Okay.
If you read the title, you think it is
Yeah,
personal.
he's celebrating himself for being a poet,
Yes.
for writing such a great poem.
That's fine.
But like, can you be more specific? Like,
Yes,
Is it?
maybe.
yes, Hadil?
I think he considers himself as a representative for all people. So he stands for I, and I for just for all.
So he celebrates himself for being a spokesman of the whole,
Humanity.
Mankind.
yeah, for whole mankind, for the Americans, at least, yes.
it's not that he is America and America is he's not the spokesman, but he's
Wow, this is too
all of
much, yeah. He's America.
Yes,
And
it's not like he's the spokesman. No, he's America and everyone's America.
yeah, I mean, in fact, here, because he's celebrating himself, and, again, he's celebrating America. It's something paradoxical how he reconciled in this poem the individual with the community, the singular with the collective. It's very important. Okay, what other things like do you think he celebrated himself for? What would a poet celebrate himself for? Okay, for writing poetry, it's okay, but try to be very specific. Okay,
The
yes.
law itself seems to be easy or something, trivial or something. But in fact, this is profound and difficult. It is something significant.
So we said like a poet might celebrate himself for being a representative, because we usually, what is a poet? A poet is a unique person who can, feel what other people feel, but they cannot express. He can express what other people can express. So this is the power of representation. Okay? And this is what he is celebrating himself right at the beginning. But I think the poet has many things, to offer. Yes,
I
Allah?
think the poet celebrates himself as a poet because he doesn't stick to the poetic feature like the rhyme. First he says,
So he is celebrating himself for his creativeness.
we're not sticking
I mean, for his creativity, because he's not following the traditions. He's a poet who is bringing something new, who's bringing free verse, which is like has to do with the free a nation which is like want to be free, like just freed itself from, the British
I want to comment on
Empire.
He said the sound of the belched words of my voice. So this tells that he's celebrating the effect of his words on people and the strength of his words. And his voice as well.
Yeah, he's celebrating his voice, but his voice is what? What is his voice?
His words, the strength of his words and its effect on people.
Yes, even he is using casual words. They has
So, like, if you celebrate, your words, it means you celebrate your ability to choose the right words. And like, this is a good poet. The poet is very clever at choosing the right words, the right imagery. You see what I mean?
yes.
So, again, what should a poet celebrate himself for? See? Yes?
His talent and achievement. So while you're reading, just he want the reader to feel how much he is talented in expressing words and even in expressing himself. Because in some points I feel that he is very detailed and accurate in choosing like pause and the sniff and very detailed things.
What are these, like sniffing, smelling, tasting? Don't you think these are the senses?
Yes.
And what distinguishes a poet from other?
His high.
Yeah, like his senses, like, the use of senses in getting images. He's highly, sensitive. He can use, bring sensual images. So this is like a poetic, like the poet should celebrate himself for his creativity, for his skill of using the words, images, for his senses, for his ability to recreate, for his ability to merge with nature, to transcend. And I think we have a lot of transcendentalism here. Okay. So I think, yes.
And even the merging with the reader, because when he said, in the second line, and what I assume, you shall assume. So he's integrating with the reader. So what is in myself, it could be in you as a reader.
Okay.
You only listen I and other are.
Yeah, so like,
Identifying himself with the
Others.
yes.
And the last thing, which is he's celebrating himself with the unique style. His interesting style for cataloging or listing things. And his unique style in his unique style in using the colloquial words and some foreign words.
Yes, his unique style of using symbolism. Okay, good. So I think it would be like, let us read the poem together. I celebrate myself and sing myself. And what I assume, you shall assume. For every atom belonging to me as God belongs to you. What an affirmative approach is this? Affirmative for the self and affirmative for the other. So look here, the interplay between I and you. The interplay, like I and you are replacing each other. I and you are the same. What a democratic leader he is. Like when you listen to somebody who speaks of himself, but at the same time speaks, about you or speaks on your behalf, this is very self-assuring approach. You feel that, hey, this is somebody who talks on my behalf. This is somebody who knows me very well. Okay, so I celebrate myself and sing. Like, look here, even because the S sound, I celebrate. The alliteration is very important in, yes, in Whitman's poetry. Yes, he dropped the rhyme, but he didn't drop the rhythm itself. Yes, there is internal rhyme. You have the, as you said, the cataloging. I celebrate myself and sing myself. And sing myself. Also sing like you celebrate yourself. And what I assume, you shall assume. Okay? What I assume, whatever shape, whatever role I'm assuming, you can assume it. So this is equality. Very egalitarian, very, he's making like all the American equals. And I think this is wonderful, let's say, perception of the self, and the others, of the leader and the people he's leading. So if you think that you, who's a poet or who's a leader, is equally important to the others, like this will give the other confidence in you. Yes, please. Yes, intimacy, closeness, adherence. And these things are very important to democracy. Like if we're talking about democracy, like representation is very important. If you have somebody who is assuming what you assume, so you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry, like you don't have to complain. Because this person, and it's not difficult to find somebody who would assume what you assume. Yes. It's not easy. Yes, Ala?
And from the first stanza, we noticed that he's a trustworthy person. We trust him from the very beginning.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, for every atom belonging to me as God belongs to you. And I think here, it's more than a representation. He's touching upon a very important issue which has to do with identity. Like what is like atom? Like when we're talking about atoms, we're talking about like what you are made up of. So we're talking about identity. So my identity and your identity is the same. We are having the same identity. And we said like identity was a very important focus or issue in the 19th century. There was much concentration on identity. We said like the identity was a problem. We saw how the motif of identity in Huckleberry Finn was very important. Yes?
For the identity point, he in his poem considered the theme of searching for identity to finding himself.
Yes.
In this poem. So
yes.
he's not searching
He's not?
He's not searching yet.
Yeah, like he's not searching. The identity is there, but he's searching for, like, he's searching, let's say, it's a heroic quest. He's searching for more wisdom, for more, like teaching, for more lessons that he would use as a leader to help the people he's leading. So, yes, he's assuming the leadership position. He's assuming the poet who's a seer, who's a transcendentalist, who's a prophet, who can see for the other what they cannot see. Okay? Yes, Sadiq?
But I feel that he's very confident because he is just...
He should be,
He mentions himself 4 times in just a very...
Yeah, it's a lyrical. Like, look how many times the I, I celebrate myself and sing myself. Like the self, myself and myself. How many selves do we have,
And you. We have you.
And what I assume, you shall assume. Okay? For every atom, and he's giving like, favorite atom belonging to me as God belongs to you. It's a simile, shows how we are equal. The reader right from the very beginning trusts the poet.
Why did he say, and sing yourself?
Yes, this is what
and sing myself because, again, like the issue of individualism is very important. And, in America, and this is the challenge in this poem, how you reconcile, a very important American value, which is individualism, with communal values. So again, he's not like that socialist. He is a unique person. He has himself. He should stress his individualism. You see what I mean? He should not, because this is very important.
And he's a fair and just leader, because in the first stanza we have 4 lines. The and the second line for the other, and the third line for himself. The fourth is for the others. So he's giving
Equality.
yeah.
I haven't like thought of this, and this is very interesting. So this is very good stylistic. Sometimes you see how the poet is playing with words. Okay. Yes. Before.
There's one thing that he's very humble. Like what I assume you shall assume, not because my poetry is great and you are going to be affected. No, but because there is something common. Because we are equal. We are all one.
We are all one.
So there's a connection between me and him from the beginning.
And what make people different?
Okay.
Like he's assuming that we are all one.
Yes.
What makes people different?
Being leader and being
Yeah, sometimes, here, like it seems like for him, because if we go back to the beginning of the poem, like he succeeded in emancipating like the people, himself, the readers from the original sin. Now I think all of them are equal because they don't have to worry about the original sin. They're free. They are equal because they are free. They're equal because they are innocent. They are equal because they are human. They are equal because they are American. Okay? Wonderful celebration of the self and celebration of the others. Okay. I love, now this is very like poetic. I love and invite my soul. What does it mean, loaf?
Like twist? Twist?
Wonder. I love. What is love? Have you checked this? Like I love? I don't know. And invite my soul. I lean and loaf at my ease, observing a spear of summer grass. I love, and invite my soul. So whenever you feel lonely, okay. Yeah, there's a company. I wandered lonely as a cloud, but this is I love. And invite my soul. Okay, so here, I and my soul. So he brings his soul, like he brings himself like to this transcendental moment, because this is, your soul, it's infinite. So you become very imaginative. You become in touch with nature. I loaf and invite my soul. I lean and loaf at my ease, observing a spear of summer grass. Observing. Meditating. Musing. A spear of summer grass. What is a spear? Like a stick of summer grass. It is dead one. Okay? What would you learn from observing a spear of summer grass? Do you think this is? Because this is a major symbol in the poem, and perhaps, the leaves of grass or the spears of grass are the major symbols of the whole poem.
Yes.
Okay, I loaf and invite my soul. I lean and loaf. Look, the alliteration. It's like somebody who's lululating, somebody who's happy. You see what I mean? I loaf and invite my soul. I lean and loaf at my ease, observing. Like you're not worried because summer spear of summer grass is not that beautiful because it is dry. But here, I lean and loaf at my ease, observing. Like he's not worried, he's not disturbed, he's not agitated, he's at ease, observing. Why?
Because he's with himself.
Yes, yeah, he has self-integrity. Okay. But what is pleasant about, this is the question, what is pleasant about a dry spear of summer grass? What is pleasant about it?
Teaches him something.
Yes?
Maybe because he thinks that it is the same of his poetry, his poems that he wrote. So it seems that a spirit, but it gives you, and in the coming generation, it will give you just regeneration and
Uh-huh. Yes. Yes, here we have the idea, yeah, it's a spear of grass. But this, as we see in the poem, the grass has this self-regenerating, urge or ability. Yes?
I want to add that he's, as if he says, this dry grass, in the coming months, they will
Excellent.
grow again and
Yes.
produce food.
Yes. So this is so we are anticipating the major, and we are interpreting the major symbol when the child would ask him later, what is like the summer of grass? You see what I mean? Very interesting poem. Yes, we don't have the Titam, shall I compare thee to... We don't have this artificial. We have this this casual, this informal way of talking, this democratizing way of this relationship, intimate relationship between the poet and the reader. Now, again, my tongue, every atom of my blood, formed this soil, this air. Look here, commas. What is this poetry, Huh? It's no more than cataloging. You have paragraphs. And this is a characteristic feature of his poetry. You have paragraphs written in verse. You don't have this rhyme and read. You don't have end stop line. So the line usually in traditional poetry ends with a full stop. But here you have the whole stanza, ends like this. So again, what does this have to do with the style? Later, he will say, I'm the poet. I'm not the poet of ending. I'm the poet of the beginning, So, yes. Now, his poetry, he wants, readers to perceive his poetry like rings.
Yes.
Do you remember the rings in Emerson, how they were interlinked with each other? So he wanted his poetry to be interlinked like a chain. He doesn't want to have any rupture. Because rupture, what's rupture? Rupture, disconnection. Rupture means disconnection. So continuity is, his desire. His continuity means regeneration. Continuity means immortality. And this is what he's trying to... it is linked with the theme of regeneration. Anyway, my tongue, every atom of my blood, formed from this soil, this air. Look at the diaxis. This. Again, here it's the identity. This air, my tongue, every atom of my blood, formed from this soil, this air. So it's not strange when we as Palestinians cherish our land. It's not strange when we as Palestinians are happy, feel very proud that this is our land, It's not a shame that we are resisting against the occupation because this is our land. So here Whitman is reminding us how it is very beautiful to love your country, how very beautiful to adore your country. My tongue, every atom of my blood, formed from this soil, this air. Born here of parents, born here from parents the same, and their parents the same. Yes. Regeneration and identity. I, now 37 years old, in perfect, 37 is, Huh? The end of what? Youth. No, 37 is perhaps the man is in the strongest, you see? The man or the woman, 37. So you don't have to worry very much because you are 27 or nobody is 27. But somebody might be, I know some girls might worry very much if they become 24. So look, 37. I now, 37 years old, in perfect health, begin. I, America, young, youth, strong, powerful, hoping to seize not till death. My hope is like to continue being as I am, very powerful, very strong. Now, this is like Emerson. We are like here reminded of Emerson. Creeds, what's mean creeds? And schools in abeyance are put aside. Creeds and schools in abeyance. So we don't have to follow, we don't have to imitate. Now we poets, we Americans, we poets, workers, we have to rely on ourselves. So self-reliance. Again, the poet is celebrating himself and celebrating America for its self-reliance. I now 37 years old in creeds and schools in abeyance, returning back a while, suffice at what they are, but never forgotten. Again, I'm putting them aside, but it's very stupid, to do away without this. So look here, he's trying to show, yes, we rely on ourselves. We have to invent, we have to come up with something genuine, something creative, but it doesn't mean that we are going to be totally indifferent. It's paradoxical.
Yes.
It's paradoxical because sometimes it is very good, to learn lessons from us, but it is very shameful to imitate the other. This is what he is trying to say. I harbor for good or bad. I permit to speak at every hazard. What a free person he is. Nature without check, without original energy. Nature without check, with original energy. Nature without, what is a check? Without manifestation, without artificial manifestation. Nature, yes, nature as it is. Nature, we're not talking about nature which is dressed in artificial, but nature as it is. Yes, without corruption. Yes, pure nature. Have you, now he has started asking the reader questions. Have you reckoned 1,000 acres much? Have you reckoned the earth much? Reckoned, what's mean reckoned? Huh? Did we skip? Huh? Okay.
This is the last section of this section.
This is the end of session.
This one, okay. Can you give me the book, you see? Because I think, we skipped here some lines. Houses and rooms are full of perfumes. The shelves are crowded with perfumes. I breathe the fragrance. Again here, in this stanza, he is trying to show how he's not in the mood of sensing or smelling or tasting something artificial, because he's a poet and he would enjoy being in touch with nature. So this is very transcendentalist. I breathe the fragrance myself and know it and like it. The distillation would intoxicate me also, but I shall not let it. Why? Because we said he's a poet. The atmosphere is not a perfume. It has no taste of the distillation. It is odorless. It is for my mouth forever. I am in love with it. It is odorless. It has no perfume, but I'm in love with it. Why? And this is he's celebrating a poet being in conjunction with nature. He's celebrating a poet having the power of transcendentalism, having the power of meditating. I will go on the bank by the wood and become undisguised and naked. I am mad for it to be in contact with me, man and nature. Yes. Look how nature and man are one. Thy smoke of my own breath echoes, ripples, buzzed, whispers, love, rude, silk thread, crotch and vine, my respiration and inspiration, the beating of my heart, the passing. It is like how he's mixed with nature. You cannot differentiate between, yes?
Similar to the natural piety in words where...
Yes, it is even more. It is, more explicit how he and nature are becoming one. And I think, Emerson would be very happy. Emerson sent him a letter, thanking him for writing this, because here he's substantiating all what Emerson said about, the poet of the future. My respiration and inspiration, the beating of my heart, the passing of my blood and air through my lungs. Like this is my, but it is also you. So he's not going to forget the you. Now, what I have, you have. My respiration, yes?
I feel that he's not celebrating himself, he's celebrating his country.
Yes, he's celebrating both. Yes, in fact, and I said this is the main paradox of the poem. He's celebrating the individual, which is a central American value, but at the same time he's celebrating like the masses, the multitude. And he said at the end of the poem, I contradict myself. I know that I contradict, but I contain the multitudes. See what I mean? Very, impressive. The smoke of my, the sniff of green leaves and dry leaves and the shore. Like, don't you think here he's celebrating his senses? What would make man merge with nature like this? It is the imagination, the senses. We saw in Wordsworth when he wandered lonely as a cloud, and then suddenly when he saw the daffodils, and when his senses started to imagine those daffodils, he started like to feel, to process those images into his heart, into his mind, until he ended up by writing something wonderful. Okay. The sound of the belch words of my voice loose to the edges of the wind. A few light kisses, a few embraces, reaching around of arms. Like, don't you think he's celebrating himself for being very free? Now, do you think a person with any concern would do like this? If you have the least concern in life, would you have this kind of stamina or this kind of power to go and relax and be like this? If you have the least concern. So he sees himself as free from all the concerns, the burdens, the legacy of the past, and here he is to celebrate himself. The sound of the belch of my voice loose to the edges of the wind. A few light kisses, a few embraces, reaching around of arms, the play of shine and shade on the trees as the purple boughs wag, the delight alone in the rush. This is like very transcendentalist point of view. Man is totally in conjunction. Man is, as you said, this is the natural piety itself. You don't feel worried when you are in conjunction with nature. And what makes man merge with nature in this way? It is the poet. It is the poetic sense you have. It is your imagination. It is your senses. Your senses that make you like go like this. I think now we come to this stanza. Have you reckoned 1,000 acres much? Have you reckoned the earth much? What is he assuming here? Because these questions, each question has a presupposition. The presupposition here, have you reckoned 1,000 acres much? Have you reckoned the earth much? This reminds me of 10,000 saw I at a glance. It reminds me of a poet who was celebrating his power of imagination. Now, have you reckoned 1,000 acres much? He's asking. Have you, consider this. Have you reckoned the earth much? A poet has this power, has this piercing eyesight, this power to see the vastness of the globe. So he's not, like, he doesn't see like little, but he sees. So this is the idea here of microcosm and macrocosm is illustrated more. Have you practiced so long to learn to read? Have you felt so proud to get the meaning of poems? He's asking the reader.
Yes.
Stop this day and night with me.
Yes.
You don't have to worry. I'm not like, distinguished. Yes, I'm a poet, but you have the same. Like, he's reminding us, like, what I assume, you assume.
Yes.
So I'm not like, don't look at me and say, okay, he's a poet, he can do this. You can do this. What affirmative attitude is this? Like, imagine a teacher telling his students, okay, don't you think like you are greater? Like, let's come stop with me and see how you are great. This would give self-assurance to the student. I think this is very interesting, epistemology. Nowadays, a teacher, like when a teacher empowers his students by giving them confidence, by, appreciating whatever they say, by helping them, the students would become very creative. So this is a very empowering approach. It is Emersonian approach. Yes?
He's trying to build a new, strong, confident generation.
Yes. This is, the whole thing. Stop this day and night with me, and you shall possess the origin of all poems. You shall possess the good of the earth and the sun. There are millions of sun left. It's millions. It's vast universe. You shall no longer take things at second or third hand, nor look through the eyes of the dead, nor feed on the specters in books. Now, I think when you read this quickly, you remember nature. Yes, Sadil?
I think that sun, maybe it is a pun. He just feeds the suns, the real.
Yeah, of course. The sun itself, the sun and where is that exactly? Let's see. You shall no longer. Yes, you shall possess the good of the earth and the sun.
Then there
Like-
are millions of suns.
Yeah, the coming generation, you see. You shall no longer take things at second or third hand, nor look through the eyes of the dead. Okay, because you can do what I can do, so you are creative, you are an individual. Okay, yes, at the beginning, I can, see for you. I am a seer, I'm a poet, I'm a prophet, but it doesn't mean that you are denied all these abilities I'm having. If you doubt what I'm saying, just stop this night and I'll show you that you have the same abilities as, do I. Okay. You shall no longer take things at second or third hand, or nor look through the eyes of the dead, nor feed on the specters in books. Like, you see what I mean? Tom is being criticized again. Tom in Huckleberry Finn. Like, as in the box, Look here, this urge of identity, this urge of literal identity is there. It is a major concern. You shall no longer take things at second or third hand, nor look through the eyes of the dead, nor feed on the specters in books. You shall not look through my eyes either. Nor take things from me. You shall listen to all sides and filter them for yourself. Wow. Very democratizing attitude. I think you started to appreciate Whitman more, even though his poetry seems at the beginning like, what is on earth poetic about this poetry? And that was the perception, the early perception of his poetry, when last time we saw how many critics threw it, put it on fire, but they failed to see the whole, poem, because this is very symbolic. It is an epic collection of poetry. I think we have time to run more. I have heard what talkers were talking, the talk of the beginning and the end. But I don't talk of the beginning or the end. If you talk about the beginning or the end, you're talking about what?
History.
You're talking about history.
Yes.
But he's a poet who's not. And history, usually is perceived as like time which is distinguished for disconnection.
Yes.
Last year, next year, Okay, so you have gaps, you have raptures.
Yes.
But it seems like he's after what we call a monumental time. Because if he doesn't believe in the beginning or the end, he believes that like the beginning is the end and the end of the beginning. He believes in something which is not distinguished for any rupture, for any disconnection. And this is what he sees his poetry. Perhaps the style of his poetry is like this. The style when we saw the non-end stopped lines, like lines are running like this. So they are like chains, one linked to the other. Okay. I have heard what the talkers were talking, the talk of the beginning and the end. I'm not like that. But I don't talk of the beginning or the end. There was never any more inception than there is now. Now, I think this is what we call a moment of epiphany, where, you epiphany, like epiphany, it is celebration. It's a moment of feeling that you are like in high spirit. Okay? There was never any more inception than there is now. There are no more youth or age than there is now. Okay? And will never be any more perfection than there is now. See? Now, the time, our time. Yes, it was the time of crisis, but it is the time of confidence. It is the time of challenge. It is the time of, power. It is the time. Yeah. Like, he's like an orator. He's telling them, hey, this is time. This is, okay, we have a lot of things dividing our society, but we are young, we are powerful, and you see, we can build our society. There was never any more inception than there is now, no more any youth or age than there is now, and will never be any more perfection than there is now, nor any more heaven or hell than there is now. It's epiphany. Urge and urge. He continues this stanza. Urge and urge, always the procreant urge of the word. Now here, urge. What is urge? The momentum of life. Urge, the motive of life. It is, continuous. It doesn't stop. So this is linked with the leaves of grass. The leaves of grass has this momentum of self-regeneration. Urge and urge. Look at the repetition. The repetition, it has to do with the theme he's tackling. Urge and urge and urge. Okay? So he doesn't say urge and stops. Urge and urge and urge. It's like, urge and urge, like somebody is knitting. Things are connected together. Always the procreant urge of the word. Procreant, the continuous, the creative urge of the word. Out of dimness, like look at this paradox. I'm not worried about the contradictions. Out of dimness, opposite equals advance. Out of darkness, out of contradictions, there is something positive. Without, like, let me just bring to you like Blake when he said, without contraries, there is no progression. Now, out of dimness, like, yes, Witman was aware that his society was having some of its problems and crises. See what I mean? he was, he published this after the Civil War. Like, you see what I mean? There was a Civil War. And he knew, but like, he saw that England or America was reconstructing, was very powerful after the Civil War, and there was a need to unite this nation. There was a need to forget all this because it is a nation which is forming itself. It's a nation which is, waiting to grow, to prosper in the future. You see, and to be very powerful. Out of dimness, opposite equals advance. Always substance and increase, always sex, generation. Always a net of identity, always a distinction, always breed of life. So this dimness should not be, this is a major paradox, by the way, in the poem. So we don't have to look at our contradictions, our conflicts, our, let's say clashing sometimes attitudes, clashing interests. Like, let's look at the positive thing. Out of dimness, okay, we are different, you are different, but out of dimness, we have identity, we have breed of life. To celebrate is no avail. Learned and unlearned feel it is so. So the learned and the unlearned, the illiterate and the literate do feel the same. So I think it's a great poem, but all the time I was trying to show you how this poem is raising motifs, ideas, and part of the harmony of this poem, part of the symphony of this poem is how it was orchestrating its ideas, how he was reconciling the contradictions, how he was trying to bring together the individual and the community, the self and the other, how the materialistic and the spiritual, because later he's going to celebrate the soul, and the body. Later he's going to celebrate the slave and the master of the slave. So this is the voice of America, and when Witman was mentioned, America is brought to mind. I know that we have not given Witman his due right by these two lectures. We might need, but the only solace we're having is next week we're going to study Dickinson, and when we are studying Dickinson, we are going to come back to Whitman because it's very important to contrast and contradict. We might have an extra lecture on both. So let's see, let's have the poem in mind, and I'm sure you are going to like it. The more you read it, the more you analyze it. Thank you for being very perceptive. Okay, thank you, and next time we are doing Emily Dickinson. Okay, thank you. Okay, this is a lecture. I don't like lecturing though, but as I told you, a teacher, and when you become a teacher, should be all the time prepared. Otherwise, you'll be in trouble. Don't say, okay, a man is going to give a presentation, so everything is okay. No, you have to prepare.